Greetings to everybody. Welcome. In this literature reading session, we are going through the talks on the Gita by Vinobha Bhave, recommended by Rivia Daji. Today, in this chapter of Yoga of Surrender, they describe the idea of devotion to the Divine Lord. And also some thoughts on that. In his Bhakti Sutras, Sage Narada says, like a wave aspiring to become the ocean, the deepest desire in the human being is to become one with the divine. That is a longing that exists in every human. Some may be aware of it, some may not be aware of it. And that state of divinity represents its fullest potential, the ultimate possibility beyond which there is nothing. Where in that state the fulfillment is complete and contentment is complete. That is why Revered Daji keeps on talking about this being content and being peaceful even under emergencies. This contentment, fulfillment, and peacefulness. So, until that state is achieved, life is incomplete. And from our teachings and our readings, we already understood that the desire belongs to the body. So, that is why longing for the opposite is in the union of the bodies, in the field of the matter. But in spite of this union, true fulfillment is not there. That is why everybody is looking for a soulmate or longing for something. If it was fulfilled with the physical union, everybody should be content and happy. So in the physical union, true fulfillment is not there. And the field of love transcends this physical, and that belongs to the energy field. But because this energy field is close to the matter, it is close to the body, this field of love still has the traces of desire in it. And the nature of the mind is fluid. So it seeks fulfillment in the union of the minds, the merging of the minds. So bodies unite in desire, minds unite in love. That is why everybody falls in love with the master. Because when he says something that resonates with the deep being, now your thoughts are one, like-mindedness. So beyond this field of the body and the mind, there is the field of the soul, the absolute. And the soul seeks for this eternal union, longing and the union with the ultimate nameless, formless divinity. And this union happens with devotion. It doesn't happen with love. So desire is temporary, love is a little longer, but devotion is eternal. And this devotion is selfless and it is totally directed towards Him, the ultimate. In the dictionary meaning, devotion is, I wrote it down here, love, loyalty, or enthusiasm for a person or your goal. Devotion means love, loyalty, and enthusiasm. So when we think that we are devoted to the master, there is love in the field of the energy, there is loyalty towards the guide, and there is enthusiasm going towards the guru, going towards his condition, going towards that ultimate. And how is this love, loyalty, and enthusiasm possible? Only with sadhana. So love, loyalty, and enthusiasm towards the guru who is taking you forward. and love, loyalty, and enthusiasm towards that goal that you are craving for. That will lead us to the destination. So that is why Babaji said, fix your goal. Unless you have your goal in mind, we get carried away. We get carried away. Oh, I have to do this heartfulness thing, and I am in charge of this. I am teaching this. I am teaching the leaders. I am teaching the preceptors. We get carried away with all this. But all that is not goal. All that are tests, opportunities. You are given an opportunity to serve, and you are tested in that field. Will this opportunity transform you into that humble state of being, of utmost humility, and that utmost state of ignorance? What is that real state of ignorance is and humility is like, you really feel in your heart you know nothing. That is why Aji once said something in Hindi about, I don't remember the statement, it's like realization is like knowing that you don't know anything. And that actually happens to each one of us when we look around. You see, everybody is great, everybody knows more than you, everybody is so enlightened. And you read all these books, and so many people know this more than you ever have any idea. And you realize your smallness in this vast universe. And that's a small sign that, okay, we are progressing towards the state that the master is asking. The moment you think, I know, I am great, I have been given this task, I am better than anybody else, we are not progressing. We are stuck. There is a curvature. So we have to, with introspection, self-examination, we have to observe these tendencies in us. And if we don't know how to get out of it, we pray. See, we have been given the method to move towards this high states that the masters are talking about. And Guru Nanak ji says, I think I said this before also, when you are set to walk towards the destination, he says no one can give you the truth, ultimate. You can get love, you can get, and also you can get the Guru's grace, you can have devotion. But truth, you have to find it yourself, the Sat, the reality. We have to find it yourself. That Swami Vivekananda said with this thought in meditation, feel firmly grounded in the seat, feel firmly grounded in reality, and then meditate. And feel that you are in front of that ultimate divinity, and you know him, and you love him. Whether he knows you or not, feel that you know him, you love him, and meditate on that. I tried it and it's amazing. For that, to arrive at this state of truth, you have to become deserving. It's like you have to empty this inner self so you can make room for his presence. And that making this inner house fit for his presence is the sadhana. The Guru's grace. A lot of times we complain, Master didn't do this, Master didn't do that. Why didn't Master know? Why is he not correcting the other person? I know we all have all those unnecessary complaints. Guru's grace can give strength to your feet, but you have to walk the path. He gives you opportunities. You have to utilize the opportunities. His love and compassion can offer us confidence and give us strength to carry. But we have to have persistent effort without wavering. And that is the need for you to walk on the path. Perseverance. And that is what Babuji Maharaj has talked about continuously in the whispers about this perseverance. Perseverance in sadhana. And when you persevere in sadhana, you get clarity. And with that clarity, we are able to understand the teachings. Why didn't I understand these teachings 20 years ago? I've been walking this path for almost 45, 50 years. Because that sadhana finally, with persistent efforts, it brings us to the shores of the Viveka, the clarity. And then you understand, then you realize how wrong you were in the past, How unnecessarily I was giving myself pride to myself for small things that were insignificant. And then you realize every opportunity that the Master has given you is not because he thought you are great, because he knew that you didn't know how to do that and he gave you an opportunity. He made us preceptors not because we are pahunchawala and we reached up there and we know how to do the work. He knows you don't know how to serve others. So he gives you an opportunity to serve others. And now you have to utilize this opportunity to master yourself. So life is a chance, life is an opportunity. A lot of times people think that meditation is God realization is all about being depressed, or viveka and vairagya means being unhappy. No, Viveka and Vairagya are states of such clarity and discrimination, so that finally you are able to see the path and you are able to see the goal, and so there is this joy that there is a possibility of moving towards the destination. You are seeing divinity there, and okay, now I have to move forward. Now I have to let go of this weight. It's like a person's air balloon, and you are traveling in the air balloon, and the breeze is so beautiful. You can feel it, you can see it. And now you throw off the rocks because you want to fly high. That is self examination and introspection. And that is what life gives us. So if you think like, oh, I'm going to finish this and I'm going to die, I'm in my old age, you are not thinking correctly. Yes, this is old age. This is the last quarter of my life. I am 64. I have 25 years more, at the most 20 years more, whatever it is. Time is short. Within that time, I have to achieve, because time is God. So you revere that time. You revere your time on the earth. So you don't misuse it. You don't waste it. So that is how our beloved Taji is guiding us. Coming to the chapter, The Sovereign Science of Service to Humanity, Yoga of Surrender. Vinobha Bhave says, when I was a child, my mother used to tell me a story. It is an amusing story, but it contains a profound truth. There was a lady who had resolved to dedicate everything she did to Lord Krishna. After eating food, she would wipe the floor with cow dung. In those ancient times, people used to live in the huts, and they would do those kind of things to make their floors strong or whatever it is. So there was a lady who resolved to dedicate everything she did to Lord Krishna. After meals, she would wipe the floor with cow dung and throw the lump of cow dung out of the house, saying Krishna Arpanam. That means I dedicate this to Lord Krishna. The lump would then reach the image in the temple nearby and stick to it. The priest got tired of cleaning up the image again and again. At last he discovered that it was all due to that lady. As long as she was alive, it was impossible to keep the image clean. One day she fell sick. Death seemed around the corner. She dedicated death also to the Lord. At the very moment, the image of the Lord cracked and fell to pieces. She dedicated even that. A heavenly chariot came to take her to the heaven. She dedicated even that to the Lord. That then dashed against the temple and was smashed up. The moral of the story is that heaven is of no value before the love for the Lord. I mean, what a beautiful story. So, this is called satsang. When you listen to that, something inside us shifts, where we learn, oh, this simple habit that I dedicate every action at the Lord's feet will lead us to that. So then that leads us to state of humility, such humility. The import of all that this is that unusual power is generated when whatever good or bad that we do is dedicated to the Lord. A jawar, that means it's a grain, is reddish yellow, but when you parch it, you have a nice popcorn. Put that white, beautiful, and nicely shaped popcorn near a grain, and you will find absolutely no resemblance between them. But there is no doubt that it is the grain that has turned into the popcorn. It is the fire that brings about such a change. If you grind that hard grain, it will turn into soft flour. Fire turns the grain into popcorn, and grinding turns the grain into flour. Likewise, infuse your ordinary and seemingly unimportant actions with the devotion for the Lord, and then your actions will be transformed beyond recognition. It is the spirit that enhances the value of actions. Do not consider worthless even the leaves and the flowers. They become sacred when they are offered to the Lord. Tukaram says, whatever is mixed with the Lord becomes delicious. Add divinity to everything and experience the outcome. Which spice can equal the Lord in making things delicious? Add this divine spice to every action, and then everything will become good and delicious. That's why one of the sessions I talked about, when you are having negative thoughts, that is what we all struggle, because it arises from the negative feelings that are there inside us because of some vrittis or some samskaras of the past. So when those thoughts arise, we get confused, we get carried away with them. Instead, the moment it's arising, just say that this, it's happening, I submit it at your lotus feet. Even this, I give it to you. I give good, bad, everything to you. Imagine it is the night time. The prayer is going on in the temple. The incense smoke is rising. Its fragrance is in the air. Lamps have been lit. In such an ambience, we really feel the divine presence. All day the Lord was awake. Now is the time for him to go to sleep. Now the devotees sing, O Lord, now you may happily go to sleep. Skeptics ask, does the Lord sleep? But why can't the Lord sleep? O fool, if the Lord does not sleep and wake up, who do you think does so? A stone? It is the Lord who sleeps and keeps awake. It is the Lord who eats and drinks. As the day dawns, Saint Tulsidas wakes up Lord Rama with gentle persuasion. O Prince Rama, please wake up. The birds have started chirping in the woods. He is in fact waking up the people, looking at them as the images of the divine. What an enchanting idea. Contrast it with what happens in a hostel. There the boys are woken up by rude shouts. Is this proper in the auspicious morning hours? There is an incident in Valmiki's Ramayana. Rama is asleep in the ashram of sage Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is waking him up. Valmiki describes Vishwamitra is saying softly to Rama, arise, O lion among men, the sky is brightening in the east. How sweet and loving the action is, and how harshly the boys are woken up in a hostel. See, I had to do a lot of repenting on this aspect because, as mothers, when our children don't wake up, we like, wake up, and we scream. And I used to do that to my son a lot because boys don't wake up quickly. And Master once said that when you wake up somebody from a deep sleep, when somebody is sleeping, don't wake them up suddenly. Touch them very gently, like softly, like that's how mothers like go like that, because that creates a samskara. So I really was deeply sad for the ignorance that we don't have when we raise our children. That is why Daji keeps saying that when people start the journey in spirituality when they are young, I mean, I did start young, but still, they have more clarity, they have more wisdom to raise the children properly. And some of us, we tried our best, but we did make a lot of mistakes. Now we can only repent and pray, that, for what mistakes done unknowingly. So, how sweet and loving the action is, and how harshly the boys are woken up in a hostel. The poor sleeping lad feels that the fellow waking him up must be his arch enemy for ages. One should first call in a low, soft tone. If the boy does not wake up, call him in a little louder voice, but never be rough or rude. If he still does not wake up, you may try again after a few minutes. If even that fails, hope that he will surely get up in time the next day. Sing to him melodious songs, the songs of sunrise or the hymns. And this is what Rama's mother, they all did that kind of thing, like Lord Krishna's mother. The ordinary action of waking up can thus be made poetic, tender, and beautiful when it is done with the feeling that we are waking up the Lord Himself. To wake up somebody needs the right technique. If there is any young mothers or people just got married. This is a good thing to remember. Let this idea inform all your actions. It is all the more important in the sphere of education. A teacher should feel that the pupils are the Lord incarnate and he is serving him through teaching them. He would not then act upon the axiom spare the rod and spoil the child. He will not scold the pupils right and left and hurt them with disparaging remarks. Instead of rebuking them, for example, for wearing dirty clothes, he would wash their dirty clothes. If the teacher does so, what a deep impact such loving care will have on the pupil's mind. So it is the mothers and the teachers that design the child's character in some level. Can caning ever have any good effect? The pupils should also look upon the teacher with the same reverence. If the pupils and the teachers regard each other as images of the Lord and behave accordingly, then the knowledge that the pupils gain will have a rare luster. If the pupils feel that they are being taught by the Lord Himself, you can imagine how they would behave. I remember my fourth grade teacher still. She was a Christian lady, and she wrote in my little book in those days, the autobiography book that we took signatures from teacher. She said in Telugu, ఉన్నతమైన భావాలతో ఉత్తమ ఆశయాలతో జీవనం సాగిస్తూ. That means she says like your name is U. Ma, she said for U, she says you live with noble qualities, noble principles in life. And the second line was you always have the connection. Mahojwalamayini hastalato. That is, you always live in the hands of the divine. That statement resonated with me, that I try to really emulate from that very young age, like I have to live with noble principles. Oh, I am living in God's hands. Because she was a Christian, she said it in a Christian way. But like, I really resonate that the teachers make a big impact. The Lord's name destroys the sins. Once the sentiment that the Lord is present everywhere is deeply rooted in the mind, we will naturally know how to behave with each other. There will be no need for any rules and canons of ethics. The vices will appear on their own, sins will flee, and the evil would vanish in thin air. Tukaram has said, "You are free to do whatever you like. Just chant the Lord's name again and again. Once you recite His name, no sin will ever remain near you." So, for us, our Babaji Maharaj and our masters have said that in remembrance perform. And they say remembrance is being in connection with the divine that is within you in your state of being. If we have meditated thoroughly, that has given us a condition, and you being in tune with that condition is what creates the remembrance. Well, you are free to sin now. You can now commit as many sins as you can. Let us see whether you get tired of sinning or the Lord's name gets tired of reducing them to ashes. Is there any evil stubborn enough to pit itself against the Lord's name? Sin as much as you can. Let the Lord's name and your sins fight it out. The Lord's name is powerful enough to burn down in an instant the sins committed not only in this life, but in countless births in the past. A cave may be full of darkness since ages, but the moment you light a candle, darkness disappears. This is the profound thing, and this is why Babaji was able to say with such confidence when somebody came to him and said, I have this weakness. And Babaji said, think of me that I am the one who is doing that, and that it will disappear. So if you really feel that it is the master in you that is doing this, it is like this example, when the light is turned on, darkness goes away. When that feeling of that presence of the master is really in you, you can't do it. Your heart gets very disturbed. It's like, no, this is not right. That is why when some things are happening, our heart feels uncomfortable. The moment the heart feels uncomfortable, it is a sign that what we are doing is not the right thing. So that is how we watch ourselves. Because a cave may be full of darkness since ages, but the moment you light a candle, darkness disappears. In fact, The older the sins, the more quickly they get destroyed, just as old wooden logs are more easily and quickly reduced to ashes. No sin can ever exist in the presence of the Lord's name. Don't the children say ghosts vanish when you take the name of the Lord? In my childhood, we children used to challenge each other to go to the cremation ground at night and drive in a peg there. There used to be snakes and thorns in the way and darkness all around. Still, I would fearlessly go there. I never came across ghosts. Ghosts, after all, are creations of the mind. How could they appear before us? Where from did a 10-year-old boy gather such courage? From reciting the name of the Lord. It was the power of the Lord who is truth. If a man feels that Lord is ever by his side and surrender himself to him, then he will not be afraid even if the whole world turns against him. Which demon can devour him? A demon may destroy the body, but never the truth. No power on earth can destroy the truth. Sin can never stand before the name of the divine. Hence, seek His grace, dedicate all actions to Him, surrender completely to Him, and be totally devoted to Him. Let the urge to dedicate all the actions to Him become more and more intense. Then, this trivial life will become divine. The soiled life will become beautiful. There is 2 more pages in the chapter. We will finish it next week. A very beautiful